Hi, this is my review of Truth and Lies, a sourcebook for the Ninja Crusade 2nd edition. If you haven't seen my reviews of the Ninja Crusade 2nd edition core rulebook and the other sourcebook known as Firebrands and the clan pack, I'm going to put the relevant links in the description below so you can check them out. Now, let's talk about this sourcebook, which contains information focused on the Wheel of Iron clan and the hidden strands of fate, although you have a lot of other useful things as well, such as new temperaments, new foci, new fighting styles, new weapons, new jutsu, etc. Now let's talk about the quality of the PDF. The quality is great. I only have a few criticisms. I did find a few typos and some Japanese words that are their own plurals, that is, they do not need to have an S at the end. But despite that, the quality is great. You have those illustrations that are quite characteristic of the Ninja Crusade, that they combine sort of like a comic book with manga style. And everything is well organized and written as well, and the document is fully bookmarked, so it's quite easy to navigate this entire PDF. Now let's talk about the contents. As I was saying, a great part of this book is focused on the Wheel of Iron and the hidden strands of fate. So right at the very beginning you have a bit of fiction showing you the styles of life that both clans engage when performing different missions and tasks, carrying out different objectives. And it's quite obvious that the Wheel of Iron have a strong, dare I say, paladin-like or even inquisitorial type of, or even vigilante style of handling things, while the hidden strands seem a bit more Machiavellic, more manipulative in their approach to things. They both seek a path to justice. Whether or not this is effective or if it's true justice, that is a point of debate, but they both engage in some, I guess you could say, questionable actions or attitudes or operations. So even though these clans are somewhat different in their approaches or their methods, they are quite similar when it comes to the ends, what they are trying to achieve. So the first chapter focuses on dispensing justice, that is, it leans more towards the Wheel of Iron clan side of things. You can see how this clan forges its warriors as if they were weapons. The very history of the Wheel of Iron is focused on the advantages of having trusty metal weapons. You can see how this clan feels a bit like underdogs in their as they came to be known as the Wheel of Iron, because they saw all of these shady operations and injustice, and even though they had a rough start when people didn't want to join as a group to fight this evil in the land, they still followed this philosophy of forging weapons of metal. And so they carried out justice in a vigilante style or vigilante sort of way. And so the Wheel of Iron was born out of this bloodshed of killing the corrupt. They carry out justice in secret, even though it was not always so. Before the Ninja Crusade began and ninja were on friendly terms, or at least in a more peaceful agreement with the Empire, the Wheel of Iron could deliver justice or punishment in a more open and accepted way. But as the Empire became quite corrupt, they had to enact their justice, even though now this activity seemed to be like the work of madmen, perhaps, at times. All of the warriors of the Wheel of Iron are constantly trained not only in their bodies, they follow an iron type of philosophy of strengthening their bodies, but also on preparing their minds. They are quite cultivated and knowledgeable in different philosophies concerning meting or dealing justice to others. They follow the essence of steel, and they have no mercy for those that they perceive to be bad guys or criminals. Other ninja clans consider them to be too meddlesome and too aggressive in their approach, but they justify their this way of acting by saying that evil is sort of like a disease or a contamination that spreads itself towards other lands. So even though they could take care of only the crime in their controlled regions, they will also go to other territories controlled by other ninja clans or by the empire itself, and they will start chasing different criminals and evildoers, because they have that reasoning that if others are not controlling the evil in their corresponding regions, that evil will spread and will eventually affect them. So they do not consider themselves disconnected from the rest of the world. They know that any wrongdoing or evil in another area altogether will eventually make its way towards you as a disease spreads itself through a human body. So that is why the Wheel of Iron are constantly chasing evil wherever it is, sometimes disrespecting the laws of a particular region, because for them justice is the only thing that matters, or their concept of justice. So, and just like in the other source book of the Firebrands, this book has a very immersive and cool way of introducing you to the history of these clans as if you were a character in that world. Usually you are placed in this setting as if you were a student of one of the ninja clans, and so you it feels like different non-player characters are telling you the ways and the history of each clan. So as you can see, the Wheel of Iron has a very strict and perhaps at times fanatic sense of justice, and by following that way of forging all of their warriors as ultimate warriors that can also serve as executioners and judges and jury, I guess, in different operations, you have some controversial ninja right here that at the same time are very interesting to engage in role-play encounters as they try to justify all of their different executions and assassinations. You also have their views on the other clans, because, for example, when compared to the hidden strands of fate, the Wheel of Iron actually respect the hidden strands way of trying to achieve order or peace, but they do not approve their manipulative arts. The Wheel of Iron ninja are very straightforward, even though they will engage in stealth and in intelligent maneuvers when it is necessary. Once they have a chance at striking their target, they will attack violently and overwhelming their foes with their jutsu and their weapons, while the hidden strands of fate are a bit more subtle and you could say a bit more psychological in their way of attacking. And you can see how the Wheel of Iron simply will not get along with certain clans, because, for example, the Grasping Shadows, the Wheel of Iron consider them to be somewhat like misguided assassins, or that they do not follow true justice, and so forth. So you have all the information that you need to play as a ninja from the Wheel of Iron, even though the core rulebook already gives you more than enough information to play as one. Here you can focus on specific aspects of that clan. And then we have chapter 2, Descent into the Seat. Now this chapter focuses completely on the hidden strands. Now the hidden strands of fate seem quite villainous. They justify many of their methods of training and Machiavellian strategies and tactics as if they are trying to achieve a better way of life for everyone and for them, but it's mostly focused on their own clan, and this is because they consider themselves quite superior to all others. They claim to be the original ninja, the first ninja clan. So as you can see, they consider themselves like the rulers or the puppet masters of the entire Lotus coalition, even though we will get into that in a bit. The methods of training of the hidden strands are quite lethal. You have this gauntlet-like approach known as the togi, and the togi is basically getting children from a very young age, putting them into a survival, last man standing type of situation, or last child, I guess, in which they have to cross a certain dangerous area, and sometimes it is asked of them that they kill the other students. So they shape them as assassins quite cruelly from when they are very young, and they teach them to mistrust all others. All of their instructors and teachers and mentors usually try to kill them while in training, and they encourage their pupils and students to try to kill them as well, because they consider that to be a proof of strength. So as you can see, the hidden strands seem quite villainous when compared to other ninja clans, but they, as I was telling you, they say that it is necessary to train their ninja like this, because they will infiltrate them in different courts, in different cities and towns, and they basically teach them how to be manipulators and how to lie and how to train their particular combat style that uses strands of different materials to attack their opponents, to choke them, to cut them, etc. So in fact, the hidden strands of fate seem quite cultured when compared to other ninja clans, despite their treacherous ways. And you get information of what they think of the other clans as well, as I was telling you. So for example, they think that the bamboo herbalists are quite sophisticated as medics and doctors, but they do not approve their mindless heroics and reckless attitudes at times. And for example, they do have almost no respect for the pack of the Black Moon, who are quite bestial, to put it in a way, and they consider them to be like pawns or the dogs to hunt, to use them as hunting dogs in their enterprises and agendas. You also, throughout the history of both the Wheel of Iron and the Hidden Strands of Fate, you have a lot of background information concerning non-player characters and different sites that you can explore. Obviously, these sites and non-player characters can serve as adventure and campaign seeds. On the Wheel of Iron side of things, feel a bit more mythological concerning sites. You even have like this secret prison that almost no one knows about, and they handle a somewhat controversial way of keeping prisoners. And you also have this temple that it has been closed for who knows how many years, and it will only be opened when it is necessary. So who knows what types of dangers or treasures are hidden in that temple. And on the side of the Strands of Fate, you have different villages and cities, quite corrupt and secretive at the same time, that you can have some very interesting political and social adventures, where you have to approach things quite intelligently and being quite perceptive of what is going on there, of the different agendas that clash. So both of the sections of the Wheel of Iron and the Hidden Strands of Fate are quite rich, quite robust in the terms of serving as inspiration for adventures and campaigns. And then you have Chapter 3, Nuts and Bolts. Here you have new temperaments, such as sadistic or treacherous. New foci such as bounty hunter. The ninja has learned how to catch their prey, be it a petty crook or a famous outlaw swordsman. So you have bonus that you get to perceive or find such individuals, for example, in a crowd. But you also have the trigger that the life of bounty hunter is always about the next score. So you have karma when you jump at the chance of a bounty, leading you to obvious peril. You also have new afflictions such as Soul Survivor or Truthful, and all of these can be integrated quite easily in the character creation process of the core rulebook. And you have new fighting styles. Some of them are quite interesting, like the Deer style. Deer fighters utilize defensive actions above all others, focusing on rendering their opponents impotent before lunging in for their final attack. A lot of these techniques are related, when it comes to the Deer style, to blocking. So you have, for example, damaging block. The ninja uses the attacker's momentum against them, simultaneously parrying a blow and redirecting the force back at them to deal physical damage per level. And you have the information on levels from 1 to 3. You also have things such as Sword Breaker. The fighter may use a boost on a successful block, whether armed or unarmed, to add the fragile quality to the attacker's weapon. And then you have other tiles that are more suited for the hidden strands of fate, such as the Silkworm style, which is about manipulating threats. And so you have things such as Cocoon Wrap. As the fighter grapples their opponent, their threats begin to entangle them. First their arms, then their waist, then their legs, until their strands are everywhere. You also have other things like a Grappling Master, Enhanced Entanglement. You have new weapons such as the Butterfly Sword, the Heaven Splitter, which is quite a rare weapon, wielded by some of the greatest in ninja legend. It is a monster of a weapon, crafted from a straight staff with a very large affixed blade that spans the length of the ninja's body. And you also have other things like hook swords and seven-branched swords, which are quite popular in like ninja comics and manga and video games. And you also have a new 99 styles, such as the Precious Strands. This style is only to be used by the Hidden Strands of Fate. So you have things such as Black Widow's Thread. The character wields special silks spun from the hair of widows whose black hair was never cut until death, and then soaked in the tears of the innocent. And this becomes quite damaging. And then you have other things such as the Sentaka for the Wheel of Iron only. The character has been granted the special task of hunting down the most dangerous criminals. These can be mass murderers, serial killers, or even rogue ninja who threaten entire provinces. So you have information on how to become a Sentaka, and as you level up or go up the ranks, you have different perks relating to fighting and all sorts of maneuvers and skills related to the path of the Sentaka. And then you have new jutsu, such as the Way of Metal. And in the basic jutsu side of things, we have Conductor. The ninja emulates metal to conduct energy. If targeted with an energy attack, the ninja absorbs it into their body. And you have median jutsu such as Metal Immunity, that it makes you invulnerable when they use metal weapons against you. And then you have more advanced jutsu such as Iron Warrior. Feeding one's body weapons is an easy way to transport them. Yes, but it can also turn the ninja into a whirling body of blades. And then you have other things such as, for example, Way of Spun Threads. Of course, focus again on the hidden strands. And it says, Cut threads. This is basic jutsu. By focusing their ki, the ninja can cut any thread in half. It can be used to cut mundane clothing for quick disrobing or appearing like they were just in a fight. As you can see, very much in tune with that theme of the hidden strands of lying and deceiving. And then you have the median jutsu, which is Lashing Whirlwind. The ninja extends their deadliest threats as they spin rapidly to lash everyone within near range. And you also have advanced jutsu like Lifelines. You must have heartstrings. The ninja becomes a terrifying warrior of threats as strings extend from their palms, from their back, and even their mouth, and they receive a bonus to all combat checks. Now, all of these jutsu, as you can see, are quite strongly when it comes to anime inspiration. They're quite strong in that department. And then we have new celestial animals, such as spiders, and you also have notorious or famous or infamous examples of each of these types of celestial animals, such as the Amimono, the 8-legged stalker. And you have information on greater spiders, peacocks. You have information on silver dragons, greater silver dragons as well. And then we have new ninja clans, such as the Sons of Steel. Now this clan is quite interesting and quite robotic, perhaps, or like automatons. They feel like that because they were basically created out of a need to achieve some sort of peace of harmony, because you had these different ninja that were fighting against each other until one time they realized that there would be no end to these ninja wars or conflicts, and they tried to focus on what was causing the fight, like the heart of the conflict. And some of them said that it was wealth, some others said that it was fear, but some one who would be considered the wisest member of the Sons of Steel, or the founding fathers, said that it was emotion. So the Sons of Steel focus on completely eliminating emotion from themselves. They have some very harsh methods of training, and they kill that emotional part of themselves. You even have like a small section of fiction where you can see how one of these warriors pretty much abandoned one of his daughters while she was at her dying moments, because it was impractical. There was no reason to comfort her while she was dying. So as you can see, this can result in some very robotic or monstrous warriors. That's not to say that you can play as perhaps a more beneficent, or what would you say, merciful Son of Steel, as long as it serves a logical purpose. That is not because you feel emotionally inclined to be merciful, but that it serves a particular purpose of the clan. And then you have the Veiled Ones. The Veiled Ones are a bit like an offshoot or a spin-off, no pun intended, of the Hidden Strands, because these also work with strands or threads as weapons. But they took a different path. They create their threads of energy. They are puppet masters. They seem a bit inspired on some of the ninja in Naruto, because they control these puppets with these almost like very subtle energy-based threads. And their jutsu is also focused on that. Oh, and I forgot to mention, when it comes to the Way of the Iron Mind, of course, you have a new jutsu focused on protecting their minds, keeping their emotions in check, strengthening their bodies because of their lack of emotion, their cold way of attacking, to put it in a way. And you even have advanced jutsu when they can actually unleash their torrents of that emotion that was never expressed. They can release it in a single attack. And when it comes to the Veiled Ones, you have different jutsu that focuses on manipulating objects, weapons, puppets, even human puppets in their most advanced state when it comes to this jutsu. And so they keep that theme of puppeteers. You also have a gallery of non-player characters that you can use as allies or antagonists in any of your adventures or campaigns. And at the end of this document, you have an adventure which is called The Violent Path to Peace. And don't worry, I'm not going to spoil things. This is just the basic premise. You basically have this city where this council, the Shiosaki Council of Investment, took control of many businesses through blackmail, extortion, and other shady methods. And they basically took the jobs and businesses and from many people, and a lot of people ended up in poverty, and they died because of all the bad things related to poverty. But there was this son of a poor butcher, and the entire family of this butcher died. It was quite horrible, but this surviving son was trained in different methods of assassination, so he's basically taking his revenge on the council. However, this Shiosaki council served as a bit of a counterweight to a gang of murderous thieves. So without this council, it is pretty much anyone's guess what's going to happen to the city now that this gang of murderous thieves don't have any, let's say, opposition. So this is an adventure that has to do a lot with investigation, about taking difficult choices. There will be a lot of opportunities for combat, of course, but it is all up to the characters to handle this in the most effective way, and they will have the opportunity to interact with some, I guess you could say, poster non-player characters of the Ninja Crusade. So this is a very good adventure that is very much in theme or in harmony with the essence of the Wheel of Iron and the hidden strands of fate. Now, what do I think of this source book of Truth and Lies for the Ninja Crusade 2nd edition? I think this is a great source book, and it follows the same structure of the Firebrands source book, which is quite nice. This source book, again, I will only consider it an optional book if you are not if you're pretty casual when you play the Ninja Crusade 2nd edition. But for anyone else who wants to focus on the history and background of the Wheel of Iron, of the hidden strands of fate, and for anyone who wants new weapons, new jutsu, new temperaments, new foci, new fighting styles, I definitely consider this a must-have. So, and also, if you want to focus an entire campaign on the background or history of one of these clans that is detailed in this source book, of course you will need this unless you want to homebrew pretty much everything about the background of that clan. So I highly recommend that you get Truth and Lies for the Ninja Crusade 2nd edition. Well, thanks for watching my review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. See you later.